So I usually start with a spiritual mind treatment. All right. So focus, clarity. All right. So this word is being spoken for each one. And if there is anyone that you would like included in this affirmative prayer, you can think of their name or any place in the world, think of that place and know that this word also is for them because this one life is omnipresent. It is not separated and segregated. It is one life expressing itself in infinite variety. This universe is a manifestation of its totality, of its all. And the truth of the universe is that every single item in this universe is a part of the whole and matters. And the good of each and every item of the whole is necessary to be present for the whole to be knowing all good. And so this divine one something is universally present. And it is omnipresent. And it is present right here, right now. And what is known right now in this spiritual mind treatment is absolutely known everywhere because this knowing is absolute omnipresence and it is everywhere present. So just as everyone in the world can tune into this channel and be hearing this one same thought, this is the thought of the divine universe. The great I am that I am is knowing itself, and it is expressing that I am that I am, no matter what form it creates, no matter where it creates it, no matter how it creates it, no matter what it looks like. It is this one I am that I am, knowing this one knowing of itself. And all this is an expression of all that it is. So that one divine knowing, I am that I am, is knowing itself in a particular way, which is each one. And each one is special, a special expression of the one I am that I am. In that one I am that I am, there are no duplicate expressions because it is infinite. It is forever expressing itself in unique ways. And because it has infinite expression as potential, it never repeats itself because it is always something more, something new, something greater, something unique. And each one is now a unique creation of the divine, not a type, not a part of the mob, not a statistic, not a throwaway part of the species so that the human race can continue. Each one is an individualized, specific, unique expression of the I am that I am. Each one matters. Each one is important. So any belief that one is not important, all suggestions or ways of thinking of the human race, that one is just a statistic, that one is just part of a mob, or any belief that one is powerless, that one needs to set themselves up as a unique individual and fight and argue with all others, is all a false belief and is all by this word erased, evaporated, and vanished. This one loving presence is knowing itself as each and every one, and it is not a glob in thinking. This divine presence does not think, let's make 1,000,000 fish and be done with it. Each and every fish is a unique expression of the divine. Each and every particle, each and every atom, each and every spot. The allness of that infinite thinker thinking of itself is present right there. And that is true of each one. Each one matters. And each one has been given dominion over their own thinking and therefore their own experience. And no matter what that experience is, all of the power, all of the wisdom, all of the guidance, all of the love, all of the goodness is with each one, guiding each one always. Each and every individual thought that each one has matters. Each and every choice matters. Each one's lives are significant. And so each and every precious moment is important. And so each one realizes right now and recognizes right now the value of one's own life. Each one realizes the truth that his or her own experience of this life in each and every moment is important. It is the divine I am that I am, seeing itself in expression. And so each one recognizes that this universal divine something, this divinity within, is present within each one and contains infinite possibilities and all the qualities of the divine, its omniscience, omnipresence, omnipotence, all of the divine qualities of essence, life, light, love, power, peace, beauty, harmony, joy. All of this is present. Nothing is withheld. Nothing is lacking. There is nothing. And all of the guidance that comes from all these qualities is present to direct each one in their special orbit of expression, never entangling in the orbit of another. And each one's own orbit of expression has nothing to do with anyone else's choices or decisions or paths. And yet, each one's own unique movements forward are always divinely arranged to be in harmony with everyone else's, so that there is room for each one to claim and experience complete and total freedom from what everyone else is choosing. Each one has complete and total freedom about what is being thought in their own thinking each and every moment. And so each one is so important that the highest and the greatest good of all is only manifest when each one here accepts the highest and greatest good in every single moment. It's not a one decision kind of thing. It is an ongoing activity of saying yes to the good, the beautiful, the true, with every thought, with every word, with every deed. Each one is living that pure, loving spirit, divine, expressing itself in a unique way. And everything in the universe is arranged to support that unique expression of each one. In truth, each one at the point of conscious awareness that he or she is can visualize and see that everything in the universe, everything in one's environment, everything in each one's world is arranged in one's own specific favor. And in accepting this and in realizing this, each one then treats him or herself with respect and with dignity and with honesty and with careful reflection, that any habit of thinking throwaway thoughts, thinking a particular hour doesn't matter, all belief in wasted time and wasted moments, all belief that it's too much to be thinking the good, the beautiful, and the true each and every moment. Any belief that life is better if one goes clueless or unconscious, and all temptation or tendency to become unconscious, to become vague, unclear, to drift along in life, drift along in thinking. All of this is erased, vanished, and gone in the realization of how important each and every moment is, how important each one here is, and that what each one chooses in this moment to think, to say, to do, affects everything in their world. And so each one now values this gift of life, values this gift of oneself, values the gift of uniqueness that he or she is, and claims complete and total freedom to express this uniqueness in this world, and to demand that this uniqueness that each one is be respected and honored and supported and blessed by one's own self, and thereby to continue to respect one's own self so that it becomes what each one is seeing in this world. Because this divine mind is seeing each one in this way. The divine mind has within it its infinite intelligence that absolutely can adjust every single little thing in the universe to rearrange itself when anyone decides in any moment to claim the good, the beautiful, and the true. And so each one is now taking that rightful place as a child of God, honored, respected, that seat at the right hand of that infinite loving presence. And to know that this place where he or she stands is unique and is important and is valuable, and it belongs to each one. It has that unique name of God, I am that I am, as each one written upon it. And each one in this universe has that place. Each one matters. Each one belongs to the whole. Each one has this one universal heart and this infinite mind that each one is using. And so each one is using it wisely, lovingly, and joyfully. This word is the truth. I am grateful this is the truth. I release this word to the law. It's already made everything this way, but it's now absolutely altering each one's beliefs so that each one accepts it in a deeper way than ever before. And as a result of this divine activity, everything in each one's world changes. And so it is. All right, that's the way it is. Okay, so for those of you out there, thank you so much for coming. For some reason on my screen, I can't see your chats, but I've got a couple people in our studio audience who are looking at your comments to see if there's anything that I need to be aware of. So, well, let's go forward. Reverend Rich, take us away.
I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive.
All right, so let's take a moment right now and focus on that heart thinking place in us. It's not just a feeling, it's a consciousness of universal love. And so focusing on that, ask your heart, your true self, what is it that you are here to hear today, to receive today? What good do you desire to know today? And know that somehow, through the activity of thought that is moving through this meeting, you do receive the answer, the guidance, the fulfillment, the demonstration, whatever it is. And so it is.
I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, I am opening. My heart is ready to receive.
Good morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Princeton. We are a loving, healing, and inclusive community which teaches and practices the principles of the science of mind for the well-being and spiritual growth of ourselves and the world. So welcome again, another Sunday morning. Here we are. Thank you for joining us in this awareness of the presence of Spirit in our lives and the practice of the growth of the awareness of the presence of Spirit in our lives. This morning, Reverend Karen has announced that this is a Q&A session. This is a session of questions and answers. And it's interesting because Reverend Karen came here this morning and she said, I got a question. I think this is what the service is about. And if you have a question, you're certainly welcome to put it in the comments section. We're watching the comments. So what's going on at CSL Princeton? Our usual Wednesday night class that Susan Niedt runs. This week, we will not have a class. It will, because it's the third Wednesday of every month, there is no class. But then the following week, again, it will start again. And Susan is our practitioner of the day today. And so if she wants you to know anything about her class, she will let you know, because that will be better than me trying to figure out what this is about. So it's funny, this morning I was thinking, okay, question and answer. When I do the welcome, I'm supposed to say something that sort of brings you into the awareness of what Reverend Karen's going to talk about. Well, how do I bring you into the awareness of questions and answers? But it did occur to me what I do with questions and answers, and how hard it is for me sometimes to stay in the gray area, to allow the question to be asked, and not to demand an immediate answer, to allow my heart and my mind to really chew on it, to sit with it, and allow the answer to evolve. Because we're not asking questions about, can I have a cheeseburger? We're asking questions about the deeper truths of our lives and how we live, whatever deeper truth is with us. How we grow in this teaching. It's not about this teaching. To me, the goal is for us to grow in our consciousness of who we are as spiritual beings in the world. And this teaching is the most wonderful thing that I have found to draw me into that. And so I've had to teach myself to stay in that gray area, to allow myself to do whatever spiritual practice I do, and allow the answer to present itself to me, to reveal itself from within, because we do teach in the science of mind that we're not creating something that isn't there. The answers are there. Spirit is fully present in us at all times. And as it was said by Jesus, it shall be unto us as we believe. We receive as much of that answer as we allow ourselves to receive, as we prepare ourselves to receive. And so being there, allowing myself to ask the question, to meditate on it, and for each of us that might mean something different how we approach that. Ernest Holmes talks a lot about listening, about becoming still and listening as a practice that he says he did quite a bit of. You might call it visioning, you might call it whatever, but allowing the answer to present itself, because there is that place within us that knows the answer. Do we trust ourselves enough to allow us to be with that place, to allow the answer to evolve, to present itself to us? And when it does present itself to us, do we trust ourselves enough to then act on that? I find it a very interesting process. I do the visioning process. Some of you may know about that process. It's just a way of being still and listening and asking yourself questions. And the answers present themselves to me. Oh, they do. Sometimes I'll be washing the dishes or walking the dog, and suddenly, oh, well, then when the answer presents itself to me, the question is, do I have the guts to follow through on it and see what this means in my life? Do I have the courage and the focus to do that? So in preparation for this Q&A session, and I know that our practitioner of the day, Susan Niedt, will be also talking about these things. Do we trust and love ourselves enough? Do we have enough compassion for ourselves to allow ourselves to let these answers to the questions that we all have about our lives surface and then grow within us and become part of who we are? Well, I don't have an answer to that because that answer is in the gray area. So this is where I welcome you to draw you into this issue of questions and answers and how we deal with them. So from that point of view, again, welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, a place where you can ask whatever questions you've got. And I can guarantee you, you will find the answer if you have enough compassion for yourself to listen. Thank you.
Thank you, John. So spring has sprung. Spirit is going from bud to flower to leaf. And we look out of our studio window here, our Center for Spiritual Living Princeton production studio. And it's just beautiful out there. So this is a tune that it's in Spanish, so I apologize ahead of time to the Spanish speakers. It's all about springtime. De colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajaritos que ven de afuera. De colores es el arco iris que vemos lucir. Y por esos los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Y por estos los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Canta el gallo con el kili, 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 kili. La gallina con el cara, 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 cara. Los pollitos con el pío, 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 pío. Y por esos los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Y por estos los grandes amores me gustan a mí. Y por estos los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí.
Good morning. Yes, it is. My name is Susan Niedt. I'm a practitioner here. And as far as questions and answers go, I can always tell you this. When it comes to the science of mind, there are always questions because we're always growing into a deeper understanding of spirit. So what I thought I would do today is to simply guide us into a meditation to put us in a place of receptivity so that we can get all the good that we can from today's service. So let's just take a moment to get comfortable, close our eyes, and let's just take one nice deep breath and let it go in a big sigh. And just release any tension that you might be feeling. And just simply settle in to your breathing. And as you breathe, feel your openness to that goodness, that Godness, as it enters your body. After all, God is omnipresent. Therefore, your breath is the breath of God. Let that breath, that divine nature indwell you. And just visualize that breath as it flows into you, flows through all of you, filling you with God's presence. You are surrounded by the breath of life, the breath of God. And allow yourself to be open to the warmth of this goodness indwelling you. And as you sit in this quiet, peaceful place, we know that these next words that I say in the first person are true. My body is the temple of the living Spirit. As I sit and experience this breath of life, I know that every part of my body is in harmony with the living Spirit within me. The life of this Spirit, this God breath, flows through every atom of my being. The life of this Spirit is my life. I live and breathe and have my being in God. I am aware of my union with good, with God. I am conscious of my oneness with life. As I experience this breath, the living Spirit is right where I am, in and around and through me. I am in Spirit, and Spirit is in me. Spirit knows in me. Spirit sees through me. Spirit acts in me. Spirit thinks in my mind. And thus, all of my activity is guided. The one infinite mind that knows all, ever present, always with me, shows me the way. The path is always made clear. So today we ask, what is mine to know? What is ours to know? Father, Mother, God, what is mine to know? Speak to me, for I am listening. And as we sit in this place of sublime trust, I speak these words for each one here, either in person or on screen, in cyberspace somewhere. We are all one. We are all together, no matter where you are. There is only one God, one life, one infinite mind that knows all. And that infinite mind is present right here and right now in each one, expressing as each one, each beautiful individualized one. Therefore, clarity is ever present, and the guidance, the rich guidance is here and right now. The truth is available and each one is open and receiving it as I speak these words. Right here and right now, there is this beautiful sense of knowing, of the peace and harmony that comes from that faith that all is well and all is good and all is present. This abundance that is here for each one, an abundance of clarity, abundance of peace that passeth all understanding. Each one is open and knowing what they came to know. It's here. The answer is here right and now, because the all ever present knowing, it's all right here and now as we sit, as we breathe in this sense of spirit. It is with gratitude that I know these words are true. They are done as I speak them. The truth is ever present. And we all say together, and so it is. Thank you.
Like a long, lonely stream, I keep running towards a dream. Moving on, moving on, moving on. Like a branch on a tree, I keep reaching to be free. Moving on, moving on, moving on. 'Cause there's a place in the sun where there's hope for everyone. Where my poor restless heart's got to run. There's a place in the sun, and before my life is done, got to find me a place in the sun. Like an old dusty road, I get weary from the load. Moving on, I'm moving on. Like this time, troubled earth, I've been rolling since my birth. Moving on, I'm moving on. There's a place in the sun where there's hope for everyone. Where my poor restless heart's got to run. There's a place in the sun, and before my life is done, got to find me a place in the sun. 'Cause there's a place in the sun where there's hope for everyone. Where my poor restless heart's got to run. There's a place in the sun where there's hope for everyone. Got to find me a place in the sun. Got to find me a place in the sun.
We're ready to go. All righty, Roo. Okay, so welcome everybody. I see that there are a lot of you out there. That'd be so cool, Keith Cox, if you're still there. Oh, he's my good friend, minister out there in California. And so I had to look on my cell phone Facebook personal page to see who's coming in, because for some reason I'm not seeing it here on my little laptop screen. Did I do that? I might have, right? Because I announced this is Question and Answer Sunday, and you can write all your questions. And then I came in here this morning and I said, I got one question and I don't want to hear any other questions. I did do it. Okay. All right. So if you do have questions, feel free to post it. And my viewers out there may let me know. If I don't have time to cover it today, then I will definitely cover it, all your questions next week, or I'll respond in the chat once I can see the chat again. So here's the question that just took over. If we choose not to use the words such as pandemic or COVID or vaccination, how can we talk with people who don't think the way we do? Can we listen to newscasts about what's going on in the world? Can we read newspapers? How can we speak better? So I thought this was an easy question. And I'm like, so my first response was, why do you have to name these things? All you have to do is go, and everybody knows what you're talking about. You just, there's widespread continual thinking about what is going on in the world, and it doesn't really need to be referred to, or at least that's been my experience. But I also realize that as I do go out into the world with my friends, my loved ones, strangers, whatever, everybody has this on their mind, and they're needing to sort their thinking out, to express it. They need to share all that's going on with them. And as being a part of the human race, connection is so important. And, you know, one of the, I believe the major suggestion during this whole thing is to isolate in order to protect yourself. And what we need to realize is we cannot isolate ourselves. That's not even humanly possible. But our need to connect is built in. We need to share what is in our hearts. We need to share our worries and our woes. We want to get clear about it. And so sharing it with another eases. It eases our disturbances, and it helps clarify our thinking. And so we want to honor that, and we really do want to honor that with all those in our world who are around us. What I have personally done with all those in my world around me who want to talk about it is I've learned that I do not have to say anything. And so I can just be there and listen. Although I will admit, I feel an urge to say something. Well, I read blah, 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 and I heard blah, 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 and this is what I think, you know, because I've got a lot of opinions. And everything in me wants to bleh them all out all over the place, and sometimes some of them escape. But when I'm conscious, I'm able to just be the presence of love and to just listen and not say anything. So in answering this question, my first thought is, what is it that is going on in you, in us, in each one of us that feels this urge to talk about it? What's going on in us? And what do we want when we're wanting to say something? What do we want from the people that we're saying it to? Personally, what I would like is everyone to agree with me. You know, so what I know that what's motivating me most of the time when I'm sharing or wanting to share is I'm wanting to change their mind. I'm wanting to influence them. And the reason why I want to influence them is I want them to agree with me so it can make my life easier to live. So we need to be aware of that. Sometimes I share things that in my science of mind hat, I'm like, don't say it, but I share it because I want to comfort the other person by telling them that I suffer too. So if someone is going on and on about their fears and their worries and their aches and their pains, like there's something in me that goes, oh yeah, me too. Yeah, I had this symptom. And I know because I paid attention to it, I'm like, why am I saying this? And it's because I love them, and I want to tell them I love you and I'm like you. You're not worse than I am because you're suffering. I love you. We're the same. I did to say, oh well, I'm perfectly healthy would feel to me like I'm shutting them off. Like I'm somehow saying I'm better than them. And where is this need to believe I'm doing better than other people coming from? I have a lot to think about. So behind every conversation is that more conscious, aware question of ourselves to ask, which is, where is this coming from? What do I want from this other person? I want to belong. I want to love. I want to show I care. And sometimes I just want to vent. Sometimes I need to be receiving that support. And so it doesn't matter what words you pick. What we want to become aware of is what's behind it. Why are we feeling the urge to say anything? And it's precious what this is good information. It's good information to react to the world and see where you're coming. Otherwise, we're in our isolation, we can live in fantasy. And we were not meant to be here on this planet locked into our own little fantasies, our own little dream worlds, and everything is the way that I want it to be. No, we're here to bring the divine presence into this world. And we are a teaching that combines the mystical Far Eastern concepts with the very practical Western everyday civilization needs. We are here to be in this world, but not of it, but in it. We participate in this world. We cannot isolate ourselves from anything in this world. Because now, here's why. Because the world that you're participating in is you. There's no other world out there. The world that you, each one of us, is participating in is a projection of your own inner false beliefs and good beliefs and truths. It's you that you see when it's out there. So we had a great question added about, I saw this flock of deer, they're starving to death. And I was, is that me believing in lack and starvation and deprivation? I'm adding to it, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, it's you. I see fat deer. But the thing is that I might see fat deer, but I will see lack and loss and deprivation elsewhere. Because we're divine and we're human and we are unique and we have this choice to see ourselves as separated or as a mob. Can we listen to newscasts about what's going on in the world? Can we read newspapers? Well, it's up to you. I only know of one person. I mean, there may be more of you. You just haven't told me yet. But I only know of one person, Reverend Dr. Ian Taylor, who watches all the news in complete conscious awareness. He sits there and he knows the truth while he watches everything in the news. Personally, I'm not working that hard. I have chosen the option of knowing that any information that I need to know about what's going on in the world finds me. I don't have to look for it. That's my choice. But for those of you who are in a habit of watching the news and reading the newspapers or the posts or whatever there, I invite you to consider, how does that make you feel? Because my Facebook experience of people who are in the know seems like that in being in the know, what they're hearing is their own fears and angers getting projected. And so what they share as a result of this thing is intense anger or intense fear. Now, just because I don't watch the news and read the newspapers does not mean I do not have that same intense anger and fear. So we need to be in the world to become aware of how we're really doing. When I'm in my own little house and I've got everything very nicely organized and separated from the world, the truth is that there is a whole host of beliefs that I have about the world that I have chosen to separate myself from, but they're still in me. It's like I try to draw a line in my consciousness. Okay, here's my world in my own little house because I believe that there's this bigger world that I don't want to enter in. But see, that bigger world is in me too. Whether I'm got my doors locked or whether I'm out in the middle of the mob. Each one of us has a world that is a projection of our inner beliefs. And so here's the thing. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world. It doesn't matter whether it's COVID or a tree or litter. You are seeing your beliefs. That's what we teach. And what are you seeing? That's where we need to do that deeper thinking. The other thing idea that I want to bring out about this, with what I'm seeing in the world and what gets me really angry, because I got the anger and I got the fear in me, is our human mistake to see ourselves as a mob. Even that word, I was listening, and I've often had this question from people who do treatment work. What pronouns do we use? So everyone knows you never use you in a spiritual mind treatment. We all know that. We get it. Okay, fine. If you use a you, you're not doing a spiritual mind treatment. You're doing an invocation or a benediction, and that's okay too, whatever. But don't use you. Why? Because we're talking to the law. The you is law. So if I do a spiritual mind treatment, I'm saying this word is being spoken to the law to do what I am now knowing the truth about in this spiritual mind treatment, this affirmative prayer, right? So we don't say you. So we say each one, he or she. And now we're with gender expansion definitions, they, it. Lots of pronouns. And why don't we say we? It's so easy to say we. So each one is now knowing our own. We all are knowing our own thing, whatever, right? We just flow right into the we. Well, how do I say this? In a certain sense, there is one, individualizing itself as each one. As human beings, we like to say we and our, but you know what? Does that exist? There's one, there's the all, individualizing as each one. As human beings, maybe back from, in survival days, we knew the value of being together. And as I shared at the beginning, we feel this need to connect, to belong, to love, to express, to be with each other. And yet I suggest, or what came to me this morning, is the importance of not giving away your individual identity in the crowd. in the mob, in the statistic. Each and every person right now on this planet is having his or her own unique experience of living. And as I think of each and every one, it's easy listening to the news and the way we speak about it as in statistics. And so a certain percent will be this and a certain percent that, and there's so many that are, now have this whatever, and so many that have that whatever. And the importance with grouping and lumping people is that we start not recognizing the value, the preciousness of each and every individual one that is getting lumped together in a mob. As a part of the human race, it seems incomprehensible to us, right? To believe that each one of us matters. And so the first thing that we need to realize is how much each one of you matters to your own self. I needed to understand how much I matter to me. And each one of you needs to realize how much you matter to you, because it's easy to fall into the trap of the mastermind group think, which is an individual does not matter. But it's a lie. Each one of us was created to be a unique expression of the divine. That means unlike anyone else. That means that if one of us should, leave the planet, this humanity here in this expression does not have that uniqueness there anymore. There will be another unique expression, but not the same, not the same. And so to realize the value of your own individual life and realizing that every other life matters, then moves us into realizing that each and every moment matters, and each and every word that we say matters, each and every thought that we choose matters. It matters to you in a particular, say, one of your important moments, right? That, if you're at that moment of great risk and where whatever you do next is really going to affect everything. I don't know how many of you have had those near-death experiences or situations where it really looked, and you knew you had to focus on this one thing or else there'd be deep, deep problems. I'm thinking of Reverend Rich in his sailing experiences. There'd be moments when, the wind is howling or whatever, and, the person at the helm is like totally focused on the one thing that they need to focus, or else, right? So we may have had all those experiences. And the thing is that, yes, that's true of that particular moment, but it's true of every moment. Every moment matters. Each one of us matters. We matter to the divine that has created us, and we matter to our own individual self, and we need to know that. And in realizing that about our own hour, I can't even use the word without hour, right? Without realizing that about my own self, if I don't realize that about my own self, then it is impossible for me to realize that about you. And so we tend to dismiss people, them, they. Oh, that car up there that just cut me off, or those people who cut in line. We tend to dismiss them because we just lump them together as a big mob and not realize that every single one of those people are having this experience of this precious life, and that choice that they are making in that moment to cut in front of you matters to them as much as it matters to you. They might not realize it, and you know that they might not realize it because you know how much of your own living you don't realize it yourself. The reason why I think it's important to understand how much you matter is because then every conversation matters. And every word you choose matters. And why you're saying it and what it is that you're doing. It may or may not matter to the other person. Probably not. They're doing their own thing, right? But it matters to you. Oh, I tried to get away with something a couple of weeks ago. Oh. And so I made the choice to get away with it, right? I made the choice. And as I was making the choice to get away with it, everything in me was going, you're not going to be able to live with this. Because back in the old days, I could live with it. I can't live with it anymore. And I'm like, I could not go to bed that night. It was like, I am not going to wake up all night long over this. I don't care how much money it is going to cost me to fix this decision I made. I can't live inside me with it. And I opened up my computer and I sent off an email. I'm sorry, I changed my mind, blah, blah, blah. It mattered. It mattered. I don't know whether the people who received the email saying, what the heck is wrong with this lady, blah, 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 whatever. It matters to me. It matters to you. Now, how can we speak better? That was the last question there. Well, it matters. And my answer for me in a particular moment is not my answer for me at another moment. And my answer for me is not any of your answers in your moments. It's only something that you decide because it matters. And what can you live with? And sometimes, diarrhea of the mouth happens. Sometimes, you decide to, get away with something, whatever, but it matters. It's all in you. And it matters what you think when you see the deer. And it matters what you think when you see litter. It matters what you choose to do. And only you can treat your own self with that kind of respect and dignity that you as a creation of the divine deserve. And I'm taking a class right now with Reverend Catherine Dollahite, and I know one of you out there is in class there with me, and there's a lot of information that's being shared with how the Bible was put together and the decisions that were made and all that kind of stuff. And one thing that was said was how we human beings continuously seek to create a story about what's going on. And that in creating that story, eventually there will be the given story. They called it the master story. Not because it's the highest consciousness or because it's the greatest truth, but because it's the description, it's the story that takes hold with the loudest and the most people. But what I also know from co-creation is when you are in a group, every voice must be heard. And if the most important person in the room is the person who does not agree with the story, and if that person doesn't speak up, or if that person is considered the scapegoat and thrown out of the room, which groups do, they're like, all we need to do is just get rid of that one person. If they do that, then the truth and the greater good will not come forward. And people will live with the story that they've concocted. These stories have nothing to do with what the facts are. They have to do with what's acceptable. And what is acceptable is what causes us maybe the least fear, the least change. And yet there are these other individuals who don't agree with the story. We have it in our history books. we've all, I love this one little nonfiction book that was written a couple of decades ago, Lies My Teacher Taught Me, something like that. And it just, when I read it, I'm like, oh my God, Christopher Columbus, oh my God, but these were master stories that were acceptable and, but nothing to do with the facts, nothing to do with the facts. I was agog to hear. And likewise, the Bible, nothing to do with all of the books that could have been included in that Bible. But it is created because it supports the story. And so right now we are in turmoil in our world because we're concocting the new master story. And we're not in agreement. And so everybody's fighting about what is the story. And so right now we've got two stories. One's the big one that's got, a lot of the energy and a lot of the authority, world authority about it. And then we've got another one that, and, each group is accusing the other group of being stupid and liars and ignorant and whatever. But the thing is that as we realize, as each one of us realizes that each one of us matters, we begin to see that each voice must be heard for the real truth and the solution to be arrived at. And that includes everyone. Everyone. So many situations in our world right now just aren't working. And I think it's a good thing that we have strong voices in each group proclaiming that which they want to have recognized. Yes, it creates turmoil. Yes, it's all confusion. We haven't settled yet onto a story. But this is a creative activity. And in the time that we are living in, because of each one of us. Each one of us is building that consciousness in the world of demanding to be heard. Our voice to be heard. No one to be silent. And yeah, in co-creation, when I'm facilitating and that one person just won't agree, there is pandemonium in the room. Everybody starts acting out what they usually do when confronted with disagreement. And to be able to just sit through it and let it work itself out. And the way it's worked out is everyone has to speak their truth. And in doing that, suddenly everything shifts. And there is agreement, but not necessarily the agreement that the mob had, that the major group had, or maybe something totally new, or maybe everyone will shift and agree with the one person who couldn't agree. We don't know this experience so much in the past, but we are beginning to know it more and more in the world because each one of us in our spiritual journey is realizing that our voice matters and that we must speak up. And the thing is that your voice matters to you. Whether the world agrees with you or not is irrelevant. Again, remember, if you're like me, right, the only reason why we want the world to agree is so we don't have to speak up so much anymore. Yeah, I want everybody to agree with me so I don't have to say anything and I can just have a good old time. But I'm having to contribute and speak my truth and speak my truth and speak my truth over and over and over again. And each and every encounter with any of the other of me in this world demands that I think about what I'm saying and that I think about my intention and that I think about what I can live with in my speech and in my thought and in my deed. And it is the natural activity of being a creative being that divine presence creating here in this world as me, as you. That's what we are here for. And so we want to avoid the tendency of thinking what we think doesn't matter and extending that out into the world as in what they think doesn't matter. Everyone matters. There's only one. I am that I am. In that one, there is complete agreement. In this one, it creates itself in universal diversity, infinite diversity, and it remains the one. It is, I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that, all one. And only each one of us individually coming under the umbrella of that divine I am that I am, each one of us becoming aware of the divinity that is present within us. Only by listening to that voice within us can we discover this great and glorious life that is everyone's life. It's a paradox. It's a paradox. To know our uniqueness and to share it and recognize and respect each and every other's uniqueness and to listen and to hear it and to know that it is our different expressions of the divine that is valuable and important. And in every single different expression, we are one. That is weird, but that's what it's about. And so no matter what it is there in that world, we recognize I am relating to it, and how I relate to it is what I believe about myself. And only by honoring your own self and listening to that wisdom voice of love within can we simultaneously experience that unique expression that we are, honoring the unique expression that each and every one else is, and realize it's all one. We are one, one, one. And I am one. I am the only Karen there is. And you're the only David that there is. Value it. Well, that's all I have to say right now. So why don't we take a moment? Reverend Rich is ready to move us forward. So let's contemplate this and I'll come back and do a spiritual mind treatment.
There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one. There is only one.
Of course you would sing that. All right, so let's know this. This word is being spoken for each one, and include in your heart anyone that you would like to have included. Because this truth is omnipresent. There is only one, but that one is perfect, whole, and complete. That one is pure life, love, light, power, peace, beauty, harmony, joy. This one is always creating itself in a unique way, but each and every unique expression is created out of these divine qualities. And each and every expression, each and every one, is perfect, whole, and complete. This means health, full and complete support, call it wealth, loving connection with all and each individual, being supported and recognizing the wonderful opportunities that are always present for each one to express and share this unique gift of divine specificity in, through, and as each one's own self. That this life that is all is for each one, and it is rearranging everything. It is moving heaven and earth to bring to each one in every single moment all that is required to express this divine life in a unique way, in health, in wholeness, in happiness, in peace, in freedom, in joy, in delight, in harmony. And each one now realizes and honors and respects this gift of life that has been given to each one, and that the gift has been given to be expressed in a unique and valuable way. Each one now recognizes the value of one's own self, respects it and honors it, keeps that unique self sacred, and is appreciating it, valuing it, and enjoying it, and sharing this gift of one's own self with the all. And each one's world corresponds, so that each one is recognized, respected, and appreciated. And each one honors and respects all other creations of the divine. And so each one is knowing that he or she matters, and that each and every moment matters, that each one is precious, and each moment is precious, and that each one is enough, good enough, guided enough, supported enough to bring this unique expression of that one divinity into full expression here in this world, right here and right now. I am grateful that this is truth. I release this word to the law, and I let it go, and so it is.
Said I'm a man, a man, I said amen, amen.